welcome back. Not everybody's here yet, but I think we'll go ahead with showing you a little film that we made in the course of the project, and after that we'll start with introducing the panelists.
Our demand for energy is steadily increasing. More than half of it is used to generate heat, primarily from sources that harm the climate, such as gas, coal or oil. To reduce CO2 emissions, we need energy sources which are environmentally friendly and readily available. Natural heat at great depths, Deep Geothermal Energy, or DGE, can play a central role in this. The aim of the DGE-ROLLOUT network is to promote this clean and safe energy technology in North-West Europe. Decision makers and investors are being supported in 3 ways. All available data is gathered into an information system. This reduces and simplifies initial planning steps. Standardized methods for planning and investigation lower the risks and provide assistance in decision-making for investors and operators. Pilot plants are being established and will supply energy in existing district heating networks. They are using new combinations of heat pumps and underground storage, thermal water wells which supply heat and green electricity for several thousand households, and existing facilities and heat networks that are being optimized and further developed. The experience gained from these projects will enable commercial plants to be planned and optimized in a much better way. Local, reliable heat production, lower land requirements and environmental acceptability make DGE a key technology for the energy transition. Thanks to the DGE-ROLLOUT network, investors and decision makers can use these advantages with less risk and greater planning certainty. Would you like to know more about the uses of these natural sources of energy? You can find more information and your local contact at www.nweurope.eu/DGE-rollout.
Yes, and you can find this film and many other presentations and material on our website. If you basically just Google DGE-ROLLOUT, it will take you there. I'd like to start with asking Janos Stani. Sani. So Janos, you've come from Hungary today.
Yeah.
So very welcome, and I'm starting with you because you've had to travel so far. So you are coordinating the panel of experts on geothermal energy at the European Federation of Geologists. And I was just wondering, you have lots of experience with working with the geologists from all these different countries. Is there anything you can see in the terms of common issues that you think should be handled at the European level?
Yeah, the European Federation of Geologists' main role to try to collect the experts from Europe, different countries. We have 10 different expert groups. One is the geothermal expert group, and we try to share problems and solutions, of course, and we try to push the European decision makers to make a good legislation and a framework to utilizing geothermal energy. So I'm sure in most cases, we need to settle the legislation in European level.
Okay. So you think there's a role for the EU to be had?
One of them.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll be hearing from you more later with the statements. Then Evelien, I think you're the second furthest. You're coming from near Utrecht, as I happen to know.
Yeah.
We work for the same company, so I'll pretend I don't know Evelien that well. You're the manager of business development unit at EBN. And so you work on sort of how policy can best also meet the requirements of the market to develop geothermal energy. And I do know that there's been some recent changes in the mining law in the Netherlands. I think they're starting tomorrow, no, Saturday.
1st of July, yeah.
1st of July,
1st of
Saturday.
July, yeah.
So maybe you could say a little bit more about these upcoming changes and why they are important.
Yeah, as of 1st of July, then EBN will also start participating in geothermal projects. We already do that on a voluntary basis for the last 3 to 4 years, so we already have some experience. And the idea is actually based on what we already do for 50 years, because this year we also celebrate our 50th birthday. And that's participating in oil and gas projects. Always for 40%, we are then the state participant. And by doing so, you gain a lot of knowledge, and that is now also the basis why we are going to participate in geothermal projects, to share and distribute knowledge as effectively as possible. And of course also be a strong and supportive partner to accelerate geothermal developments.
And are the operators, the parties, are they happy with this development?
Well, we already have like 35 participations or cooperations on a voluntary basis, so I think it's the majority are, yeah.
Thank you. Well, we'll be coming back to you as well. Ben, very welcome. You come. I don't know exactly where you come from. I don't think you live in Brussels, but nearer, I guessed, because you're from Belgium. Welcome. You are a geologist and expert in geothermal energy. I think many people also know you as such. And you've, of course, have also been very closely involved with the development of WALMAT.
Yes.
And I was wondering, there's been some events sort of around small tremors, can I say that? And
You can also call them earthquakes.
Okay, well, I'll leave it to you. And then I was wondering whether there's any role for the EU to play to make it easier to handle this kind of like support-related problems that there might be around geothermal energy sources.
When it comes to support related to induced seismicity, I think the powers of Europe are quite limited, because it's really a local issue. We have a colleague working for us at WALMAT who comes from New Zealand. When he heard that we had to shut down for an earthquake of 2.1, he started laughing. He said, "Okay, we have that every day, every few days, and nobody talks about it." But the situation in Mol is totally different. So you have the nuclear research facilities nearby. You have people that are not used to earthquakes. So a 2.1, something that people feel, creates some unrest, some panic even. So the situation is totally different, and you really have to look at your local situation to define how to deal with it. So in that respect, I don't think Europe can bring much. On the other hand, they could help in defining guidelines, procedures on how then to set acceptable levels for reduced seismicity. On that side, I think they can contribute. When it really comes to the communication and the acceptance, it's something that has to be done at the local side.
Yes, I see. No, I see that. So thanks for that insight. And then finally, sort of home match, perhaps for Philippe Dumas, of Secretary General of the European Geothermal Energy Council. Welcome. Nice to see you. Well, you've been walking the corridors in Brussels, I guess, for a little while. I saw you been working for EGEC since 2002. Is that right?
Yeah, 20 years nearly. Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, that's quite something. And I was wondering if you that's quite a long time, 20 years. How have you seen sort of geothermal energy being treated in Brussels in that period of time? Have you seen any changes?
20 years of history to sum up in 2 minutes is
difficult. Okay.
What is the main challenge is that indeed we have to be careful because, as mentioned by Ben, geothermal is quite dangerous, no? And be careful, we have a lot of geothermal facilities here just in the surrounding. There's only 3 to 4. It's dangerous not because it's going to earth, it's dangerous because we'll kill the fossil fuel business. So it's why it's why indeed what we've seen is really increasing awareness in 20 years with some milestones. One important milestone, by the way, was 2009. Matthew was mentioning about the first renewable energy directive, where you have a definition of geothermal energy.
Okay. Yeah.
All over Europe, because what was one issue is that in many countries geothermal was not defined or properly understood, and just having a definition was creating some insight. And from that to 2023, where also mentioned by Matthew, the Net Zero Industrial Act. What is this Net Zero Industrial Act? The European Commission is the answer from Europe to the American Inflation Reduction Act, which is a big plan. And in Europe, they select 8 technologies, and one of the 8 is geothermal. So you can see we are coming from being just one of the technologies to one of the 8 technologies to be developed.
Okay.
After we know we have many barriers to develop, to remove, and we'll discuss them today, but indeed what we see is more recognition. What is a bit the pity is that we all know that in the room for many years that we are one of the solutions for the transition. And just know because you are in front of a big crisis now in front of, because we have to remove all the Russian gas, and just because no, and first, just to remind, the REPowerEU is fine, Matthew, to mention that, but the first answer REPowerEU from the European Commission was, let's switch Russian gas from LNG from Qatar, LNG from the US, so still keeping the gas business.
Yeah.
And afterwards, no, maybe there's alternatives, and they start with a heat pump action plan, they start with go to RS for many reasons. But it's just the thinking of a transition is just in front of the crisis we are answering.
Well, I'm sure in another 20 years we'll get it done. So,
what is just to conclude, our vision is that indeed for the last 10 years, more or less, what we wanted was to build an industry, to lay the foundation for developing.
Mm-hmm.
The next 10 years, we want to develop, and after 2030, we want to deploy all over Europe. So it's more or less the vision we have.
Thank you. We'll go to the statement. So, first statement, geothermal energy is a fully mature, fully sustainable technology that can be scaled up without any need for innovation. This is the first statement. Is there anybody who would like to initially also already respond from the panelists? Evelien, perhaps?
I would agree.
You would agree?
I agree.
And why?
Well, I think it is fully mature, or nearly fully mature. I think it is nearly fully sustainable. I think we can scale it up, and I think we don't need that much innovation. But we do need some side things, and they are not mentioned on here. So that's why I say, yeah, I sort of agree with this statement. Yeah.
Okay.
And the side issues are at the one side of the chain, which is really data in unknown areas, in this terra incognita, which we just already mentioned. And the other side is, where do we need geothermal, and putting down the district heating systems in areas where they're not there yet. I think those are 2 really, really big things, at least from my Dutch perspective. And this is what we can do and where we have grip on. Those 2 things are just really, really daunting for us. Yeah.
So that would fit this. You say, yes, we can do it, technologies work, it is fully sustainable, and innovation, just a little bit of incremental innovation as we go.
Yes.
Okay. I think.
The last part I disagree. If you see have you heard about the NER 300 geothermal projects? The big project was 7. None of them was successful. None of them. So, because of the missing innovation, in my opinion. So, in most cases, in my opinion, the geothermal sector has 5-8 years to prove the efficiency and if you see how the wind and photovoltaic sector are growing exponentially, geothermal linear, 3-5% maximum. So I'm absolutely sure that the innovation is needed in the sector.
Okay, so you think that last bit, without need for innovation,
Yeah.
There's any particular innovation you think?
The drilling, and we always forget to speak about the operation. Sometimes the operation has a big challenge, scaling and corrosion. So not only the drilling phase, I mean, but the operation needs innovation, in my opinion.
And do you think that's incremental innovation, like slowly improving, like, you know,
in drilling, probably
or
not.
really radical?
It's quicker, but an operation is slightly.
Okay. Well, and the fully mature, fully sustainable, that's fine. That's
More or less. So you know, the geothermal energy is inexhaustible. So, but it depends. In my country, the injection is not so common. You know, we have almost 1,000 operating geothermal wells and less than 50 injection ones. So in that case, it's not sustainable. So the sustainable means if we inject the used fluid.
okay. Sorry, you don't inject all the fluid. You
We
remove.
leave on the surface.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It
Okay.
goes to the river.
Okay, well then I can see the fully sustainable might be up to some
that's
debate. Okay, where does that river go? Goes the other way, doesn't it? Yeah,
That's
goes to the Black Sea. Okay, well, thank you for that. Ben.
Depends, of course, how you look at geothermal, but this project and this workshop also is on deep geothermal, and especially deep geothermal here in the Northwestern Europe area. And then I think I have to say it's not fully mature yet. When I hear people from the Commission talking about their long-term energy goals, and also the goals with respect to the thermal energy, what they are asking for are sources that can supply heat for industrial applications. And in this part of Europe, we then have to go very deep. 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers. Drilling to these depths, geothermal well, it has been done, but there are very few. And always with a lot of challenges and with a financial ticket that is too high at the moment. So there is definitely need for innovation. On the other hand, and that's what Baumat is learning us, but I think in every case where you go to these depths, these fissured rocks, you will be facing issues with seismicity, issues with radioactive compounds, and so on. Also, these issues need solutions before you really can talk about a mature market where industrial partners can step in and really develop projects. Of course, the situation here is different from Iceland, different from Italy and so on, different from Romania. So at certain places, yes, you have this mature market and maybe little innovation needs. But looking at our area, I think you have to say, it's not a mature market, definitely not a deep geothermal. And there is really need for innovation with respect to drilling, but also with innovation with respect to targeting the right resource, or targeting the right spots within your resource. There is need for innovation on integration of then this geothermal in the energy mix at surface. So I think there's still a lot of things to be done before we can really say, okay, now we have something where industrial partners with their way of looking at economics can step in.
Okay, so you're basically saying, well, I agree partly, but because I see geothermal energy as including that deeper geothermal energy, these higher temperatures, I can't agree to this because that should be included, and then there you go. So, yeah, I can see that.
May I react? that there is a difference between a fully mature technology and a fully mature market. And I think my position is, well, the technology is reasonably mature, excluding ultra deep, which you are suggesting. For me, ultra deep is not part of geothermal, but the market, you know, that is what is immature.
Okay.
Specifically the market, which is immature.
Because the technology has been proven, it can be done. We
It can
know
be
that
done,
if we've
yeah.
got the right reservoir, it will
Exactly.
work. There's no doubt about that. It's not cold fusion. Like
Exactly.
we've done it.
Yeah.
But to get everything together, you know, to get the heat demand together, that's the market, and that is, well, maybe not fully mature. That's what you're saying. It's not.
Not at
Yes.
all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philippe,
No.
what do you? Because it's now
No, I agree.
disagree
No,
with
I
you.
agree with
Agree
everything.
what? Oh, yes, with Evelyn.
No, I agree because it's not fully mature. In Paris, it's just 3 times cheaper than a gas boiler, a geothermal district heating, 15 euro cents, so only 3 times. Maybe we can be 10 times cheaper, but it's not mature. 3 times cheaper than a gas boiler today. No, not today. In 2019, it was before the energy crisis. Just imagine today.
Mhm.
Indeed, what we have is not one technology, it's several technologies. Some things are major, and some markets are major. But we can agree, depending where you are. But in France, it's 1 million inhabitants in Paris. It's large. In Munich also, we start with large scale. Sustainability, when we look at sustainability, we look at 3 components. But don't look at sustainable reservoir. The reservoir is something for engineers. Environmental, benign. The impact of geothermal is in comparison with all technologies in industrial activities. The life cycle costing. Fine, we speak about photovoltaic and wind, which are really cheap. They are cheap on the levelized cost of energy comparison. When we start to look at system cost, externalities, non-price criteria, we are competitive. We are based on and we are competitive. Environmental beginning. Competitiveness, we can be competitive. Last point of sustainability is socioeconomic impact. We create jobs. Few direct, a bit more indirect, heat pump manufacturing, turbine manufacturing, and a lot of industry. Just go to Tuscany, a number of industry, one job, 1 gigawatt electric, 1,000 direct jobs, 2,000 indirect jobs, 3,000 industry, tourism, cheese factory, beer factory, all of surrounding activity. Now we create a lot of jobs. So we are socio-economic benefits, we are cost competitive, and we are not paying. So sustainability, I think, innovation, yes, of course, innovation, but what happens? We have received nothing for the last 20 years. We received 50 million of research and innovation in geothermal. When you give 10 billion to hydrogen and we don't produce 1% of what we are producing today. So just the scale of technology, innovation, and budget which is dedicated to technologies. Of course, we can improve drilling, but drilling, as you mentioned, it's not only improving research, it's lessons learned, quality development, transfer technology from oil and gas, a lot of sustainability innovation. But the main innovation we are seeing is not on technology, it's on business model.
Business, so markets.
We have 2 traditional business models. No, we try to map them into one. We have a dozen of them. So the innovation is everywhere.
Well, Philippe, I wouldn't have wanted it anyway, other than that, but from coming from your mouth. So thank you for that summary, and I'm glad that you agreed with that. That's great. So it's it's a draw. So I think we should definitely involve the audience in the sense of maybe you have a question for the panelists about, are you really sure about what you said, or kind of say like, well, I really think it should go one way or the other. Forrest, you're gonna do the tie break.
I'm 100% going along with Philippe, except one point. I think if I look at Henry Ford, I think that was an innovation. Assembly line production of automobiles. That was a really groundbreaking innovation. And so, my feeling is, this is what we need in geothermal energy, in deep geothermal energy. We need industrialization and assembly line production of heat plants, coming from 40 to hundreds, to 1,000, to 4,000 in Europe. Heat plants in a pretty short time, 10, 20, 30 years.
But that's
And
market,
this is-
isn't it? Isn't that
What?
market? Isn't that the market? Isn't that what you would call the market development? If that
No, no. It is going along digitalization of processes. It is a process innovation. It is not a technical innovation. We have to think about process innovation, and when you said business model innovation, coming from short entities to big entities, investigating big entities, not every city itself, but the whole thing. And then come to completely other business models who enforce industrialization. Yeah, this is, from my point of view, the only real groundbreaking innovation which is needed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions maybe about what has been said by the panelists?
May I add one comment?
Please.
So, when we talk about the innovation, I'm thinking about the stimulation methodology, because if you cannot increase the productivity of the wells, the increasing of geothermal utilization will be linear. So, if we need to increase the levelized cost of energy. So, if we can produce more water from one well, we can decrease the levelized cost of energy, and I think it needs a huge innovation to reduce the levelized cost of energy. And don't forget the critical raw materials. It could be a good chance for geothermal some places to use as a mineral extraction. So if you combine the geothermal energy production and mineral extraction, could be a solution for reducing the cost of produce of energy. So this is what I say, that the innovation is very important.
So you still disagree? Okay, thank you. I think we can go to the other statement if you think you can leave it at the draw. The next one. The main problem is money. If deep geothermal energy is sufficiently publicly funded, the market will scale up without further policy requirements. So just put money to the problem and then it will happen. Ben. Oh, okay.
In case it was just the money, I think looking at Balmat, it was not really the money that in the end was the problem. It is everything that comes along with the project, the public acceptance, but also technical issues. Because when you're drilling in a green field, what do we say? It's all known and we know how to do it. You always will be facing challenges.
Yes.
That have to be solved. And then money is just one part of them. The communication, both to the people providing the money, but also to public authorities, to the locals, that's really making it very difficult to develop, especially greenfield. You can imagine it's totally different in the Paris Basin or where people are used to it. But for Flanders, that is a hurdle.
Okay, so you're saying yes, money, we need the money, but that hasn't generally been the problem. The problem has been the public support.
Yeah, because for a good idea, that was something that Dirk Vriemhout once told me, for a good idea there is money enough. And that's indeed so. In case you have a good geothermal prospect, you can sell it. You will find people who are willing to invest. But then to keep them on board, especially when it are people that are not used to the development of a geothermal project, with all the challenges and so on. That's a challenge.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So you disagree?
I've been told to, so I agree. No.
You can disagree. We can all disagree. It's fine.
No, I quite agree, but I would then really put maybe an example from the Netherlands. We talk a lot to the provinces, so we have a lot of 12 provinces, and some have been now blessed. Maybe they think differently now with oil and gas fields. There's lots of seismic and lots of wells. And in those provinces, we see geothermal development, and those projects they can fly. And they struggle also. They also have their difficulties. But in the provinces who have never seen any attention from oil and gas companies, they have no clue, and they don't get any step further. That is a typical greenfield. They can't even show that they have a geothermal prospect. So without money, they get nowhere. They just first have to get to the first exploration hurdle, and that's the point where they can say, yes, okay, now we know we are a prospect or we are not. And that's where you maybe can get funding from an investor or from a green investor. But that first hurdle needs to be taken, and that's purely money. And in the past, oil and gas companies, they would take that risk. But they had, it was a high risk, but they also had a huge reward at the other side. And that's not the case with oil and gas or with geothermal. The reward is much smaller and much more spread out over a long term. So it is much, the risk reward is not matched in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for greenfields. I would say yes, you just need a bag of money to de-risk.
So you're saying yes, you have to throw money at to the right place. Yes. You have to give it to the right people, not just to anybody.
No.
But in the end, usually it's the discussion about money that stops the development from actually happening.
In those areas. In other areas, you need a lot of other things, but in those greenfield areas, you just need money to map, to do seismic, and to drill that first exploration well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I agree with Ben, but disagree with that statement.
You disagree.
Because in my opinion, if you have a good project, you will find the money. That's it. But what the good project means, based on three parts. The first is geothermal potential. It means you have a heat and applicable technology, the heat market, and the legislation. So the legislation needs to be consistent and predictable. That's it. If you have these three blocks, like a chair, and it's strong, the project will work. And you can find the money, in my opinion. Okay, the problem is the risk mitigation, but it's another problem. Of course, we need to have a risk mitigation, and probably Philippe can talk about this topic much more than me. But so if you have a good risk mitigation fund, and you can find the money to the project, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I think Philippe, you're on the fence, aren't you? Yeah, you can.
We have money for the market where it means for a niche market. We don't want to be a niche market, we want to be a mass market. So we need much more money than we have today. We don't want to remain at 1% of energy, we want to be 10%, 20%. We need much more money. But what is the key? The main point is that money is security for investment. It's what we need. Security investment from a municipality, security investment from a private owner, because the money is not for like partial fast well. It's here for doing this. So we need de-risking instrument, but we need also targets. We need policy framework that we need. It's the key thing. What we are missing is project. We are not stimulating enough projects. We have 400 district heating in operation. There's 400 in the pipeline. It's good. We are doubling, but it's not enough. We need to stimulate much more project, and if we are not stimulating enough project, same for electricity, we have 150 power plants, we have 20 under development, it's not enough. We need to stimulate project, and we need to have more security for investment. Of course, money is there, but we need more security. Today, there's lack of security.
And do you think as more projects develop, that then it will become easier to develop
it's
more
why
projects.
I disagree with Yannick. You said to reduce the cost of drilling, let's assume, and maybe we can agree in it, but 20% can be done just with lesson learned. Exchanging best practices, having a full project management overview. Now, of course, research and innovation will reduce the cost, but not sure it will reduce the price.
Okay. Thank you.
The
I'd
profit
like-
will increase for sure.
Thank you. Well, this is because you also disagree. So this is Evelyn's brave one agreeing. Well done. Well done. Any questions or remarks based on this discussion? Or are you saying like, I have no idea what you're talking about? Could you please explain a little bit about what all this? That's the best question you can ask, actually. No? Not so. No. You'll be in the panel next time, boy.
Usable basically means that you have to throw money at it, so in a green field, and you made a statement, you have to give it to the right people. So my question will be, who will be the right people at that stage?
And do you have a particular to Evelyn or?
Yeah, that came from Evelyn.
Okay.
That's a good question. We're currently investigating or struggling in the Netherlands with that. Whether it should be a combination of public-private or whether you should maybe just go fully public just for those first acceleration projects. Just put some projects there and show it's possible and then make, like you did in Balma, nice visiting options so everybody can see and feel and touch and that's also important. And then you would say, well, we should maybe just do every province geothermal project. But then, of course, there's lots of commercial parties also, and they would say, yeah, well, you're ruining the market. So we are struggling, how important is the collective public value of accelerating geothermal by pulling it towards the public side, towards how important is it to grow a commercial industry. So I'm still in dubio about this.
Any other responses to that from the panel?
No, but I think it's what your first statement, I mean, like indeed market maturity, so there's not one size fits all approach. It will depend on the maturity of the market to have the right people, because in a mature market it will be fully private.
Yeah.
We don't need any more public.
Yeah.
But indeed, in early stage development, you need a fully public support.
Well, it's always interesting. We compared them to our gas market when we discovered the Groningen gas field, like 60 years ago. That was in the beginning, the stake of the state was also really high, and yet, in the end, the whole gas market was privatized, and everything was given to the companies. So maybe if you're in a development and if you're in a transition state, maybe there should be much more public push and to make it later, make it more private. So maybe our expectations, for the market to pick up the transition are just too high. We should just push it through and then give it to the market.
Thank you. Any other remarks, questions about the statement that you think need addressing? Oh, okay. Well, keep it short.
I think political mindset is extremely important. As long as we have politicians, parties announcing all electric is a solution for anything, it will not work. The money will go to producing electricity, not to producing heat.
This is a statement.
Yeah.
Would you like a response to the statement?
Yeah, I would like a response. What do you think?
I can agree to it. Yeah. And I was happy to hear now the talk from the Commission, but I also see that the full electric and also the renewable hydrogen will not be the full solution. So that opens a window for geothermal to step in.
I think the first time I heard the word electrification should have been in 2015, maybe. Something like that. If you get the consumption electricity market from 2015 to today, it's stagnating. So I don't see why it's electrification. There's no electrification. Who are the most electrified country is France and Finland. I don't think it's a good solution when you see the situation in the heating sector in France. In France, no. In summer, in the winter, if it's too cold, people are asked to switch off the heating system. We are in 2023. It's completely crazy.
Yeah, I fully agree. In most cases, the politician and they heard about geothermal, they think that it's good for electricity generation, but in Europe, it's mostly good for heating, yes, sometimes cooling, of course. So, and in my country, I always need to say the politicians that geothermal in Hungary means heating. Very small amount electricity generation, but heating, because the energy consumption in Hungary, 40% is heating. That's it.
It's what Mathieu was right. Probably the best one, energy system here.
Yeah,
Full system approach.
Thank you. I think we generally, there's a disagreement. So the main problem is not money, but I do hear it does need money, but you need to spend it cleverly. We're reaching the final statement, which is also a little bit about what Brussels could do. Deep geothermal energy is a local source and therefore it should be managed by a local policy and the EU should not get involved. So, who would like to give their opinion about this statement? Anybody raise their hands or should I point my finger? I think it's one that Philip probably will not agree with, but...
No, but
so,
is Russia local? Because it's funny when you say eating, it's a local issue. 80% of our eating is fossil fuel. I don't think fossil fuel is a local resource. I think we are all important. The dimension, yeah, maybe not in Netherlands. Let's look at the rest of Europe in general. We are importing gas, we are importing power down.
Yeah.
So eating is a local issue, but with a lot of pan-European dimension, geopolitics. You should be involved in setting the level playing field. A CO2 tax, a CO2 pricing, a carbon pricing. We need to have a carbon pricing eating. You will not do that at local level. It's pan-European. You need the carbon pricing. But indeed, the energy transition for geothermal is at local level. I really believe it will be cities, it will be factories, industry. We will develop geothermal project, and will be the key driver for developing that with the right framework. So we need a framework. So in the renewable, each city more than 45,000 inhabitants is asked to do a heat planning. It's binding, it's an obligation. So it's a decision, but after it's implemented. So it's this kind of message we need also to develop our budget. But for sure, part is local, but not only.
So you do not agree entirely, but you do see a local element in deep geothermal energy.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other responses from our panelists?
Oh, I here agree with Philippe. There definitely is a role for Europe on the higher level. With, for example, all the energy acts and so on, where then but they have to be translated to the local level anyway. So there has to be a clear separation of responsibilities. That's one thing, but also collaboration over the different levels to reach the objectives that have been set. Because in the end, the development itself, it's a local issue. But in case there is no clear framework where to work within, or that is creating opportunities, creating indeed this opportunity to do some mapping, because you have to map your resources because Europe is asking so. or you have to find a way to lower CO2 emissions because Europe is asking the member states to do so.
So targets.
Yeah.
sort
So
of
these targets can
incentive,
be
like,
set,
get
incentives
it
can be
sorted.
set.
Yeah.
Maybe even insurance schemes at a higher European level can be set.
Okay.
But in the end, it will be done locally.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about the seismicity, for instance, safety. Especially seismicity, I think, is a very local thing. The things that are possible in the Netherlands currently, it's just not comparable to what is possible in other countries.
You mean not possible in the Netherlands?
Not possible, yeah. That is just the local acceptance can be really, really different.
Yes.
The EU, yeah, they just can't do anything about that. But what they can do, of course, is be much more supportive of geothermal and name it more and you know, back. They need to back up those member states when they try to develop geothermal. So I must say, in this case, I probably agree. So
You agree with that? So you disagree?
No, at a high level, you know, the EU is really important.
Yeah.
But when it comes to local projects, it is local. Yeah.
But so do you think that the EU would be able to set a safety standard across Europe? So to have some kind of like, you know, a higher level that we all agree that the European minimum standards of safety environment have been met. Is that something that we could ask the Commission to put together?
At a higher level, I think you could do that, but you cannot, you know, really put it into detail because it just depends on also on the geology and.
No. So you have to have a sort of like, of course, it has to be high level, but then at least you can put down, like, you know.
One thing which I think is really important, backing that up, you know, safety is availability of data. So, you know, I think it's just amazing that data in Hungary is not available.
No,
you know?
sorry, I mentioned in Romania.
Oh, Romania. That's in Romania. It's not available. And I mean, it's really unsafe. You know, you're going to drill and you have no clue. Maybe something fishy happened there and nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
And you know, those lessons learned are not just lessons. It's also data which is, you know, has to be shared. And that is something where the EU could play a role.
To tell people to share the data.
And I think did you mention about the marine? Somebody mentioned.
I can mention
That was Mathieu
that
about marine.
can just mention
Yeah.
if you're interested by we organize a webinar next Thursday, 6th of July, on the data for Japan.
Yeah.
So I disagree because we talk about risk mitigation. In my opinion, it's quite important, especially in deep geothermal. And in most cases in Europe, the countries alone is not enough big to keep this market exist. So maybe except Germany, because there are a lot of projects in Germany and could be economically available to have one risk mitigation fund. But because so the countries is not enough big, in my opinion, we need to have a European risk mitigation fund. But if we have a European risk mitigation fund, we need to have a similar similar legislation, similar definitions, and so we need to unify a lot of things in that case. So in my opinion, because of the risk mitigation is quite important, the European level policy and the unified of the methodology is important.
Thank you. Well, all the panelists disagree, and I guess we are in Brussels. So, any other insights from anybody?
Yeah, the best proof that this is not true, that the EU is extremely important, the best proof is DGE rollout. Because without DGE rollout, we would never have made it in Germany to be on the road to completely change the political mindset. The government now announced to promote 100 projects with exploration, seismic in a national exploration campaign, and to bring 100 projects in place. And this is what this project reached, so this is the best proof that we definitely need EU and we need such projects to bring geothermal on the road in Europe. This is my opinion.
So basically you think that maybe we are looking at too small a set of countries and we should expand.
Yeah, what we now
and have a bigger community.
What we now need is how we DGE roll out in whole Europe, not only in Northwest Europe.
Good thought. Are there any other remarks and questions based on what's been said or based on the statement? Please.
Yes. In my opinion, the EU could also play a role in simply phasing out oil and gas boilers. I mean, they've done it with cars, you know, imposing a deadline on getting rid of, you know, petrol, diesel cars, and this worked wonders when it came to electrifying mobility. So I just don't understand why we don't see the same kind of policies when it comes to heating. You know, that there is a debate in almost
erase the demand.
On that.
Just make sure the demand for natural gas goes down because the gas boilers are no longer there.
Exactly.
And then they have to find another solution, and that would be.
I think that the money would flow in that case, and this issue of money, for example, would almost disappear.
Okay.
I'm not saying that geothermal is the only possible alternative to oil and gas, but it's one of a series that would benefit from such a phase out, in my opinion. And this is discussed in a lot of member states, heavy discussions. And if the EU could take the lead and just tell us 2030 for, say, oil and 2035 for gas, this would, you know, just facilitate a lot of things, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just because those deadlines would be anticipated, of course. Once you know there is a deadline, then everybody would activate it.
Okay. Well, anybody with a sort of national political antenna want to respond to the suggestion? Just cut out all the boilers. We're coming for your boilers.
The decision is ongoing. It's the Energy Performance Directive, Energy Performance Building Directive in EPBD that we're discussing about 2029 could be a date, but with a lot of disagreement. Having in mind, look at the debate in Germany today.
What is the debate in Germany today?
But it pumps, not to phase out all fossil gas boilers and to switch to heat pump, and people disagree because they are concerned about the efficiency of heat pumps and cold climate. A lot of false argument. But if you look at in the last 3 months, you have more fossil boilers than heat pumps in the market.
Okay, so I see it, and I think it's been. Yeah.
So it's now you should do that with a lot of communication and information.
Yes.
I have a worst case scenario in my country. So my country based the energy supply on Russian gas, and they speak about the geothermal energy, but only speak about it. That's it.
And how could the European Union help your country to move forward? I mean, what would they need to say?
To keep the country in EU, that's the most.
Yeah, that's a particular. I see that those could be, but there are other conversations to be had first. Yes, no, it's one of many challenges we have. Anything else from
One thing we have not discussed is still today. One of the main barriers is awareness. I think we need all to do much more effort to communicate, promoting geothermal. We are not doing it. We have to do it. And that is still a barrier for everybody, for policymakers, for citizens, for customers, for industry. There's still a lack of understanding how it works and the benefits. And of course, we can be supported by a public commission campaign. But And I think we all of us need to do more so in promoting geothermal.
Okay.
Agree.
Good. Well, I think that probably closes off the last statement. And thank you very much for your input and your discussions. And I'm looking forward also at you and with the rest to continue the discussions later at the drinks we'll have at around 4:30. So thank you very much. And I would like to ask Martin to give a few closing statements on behalf of Geologische Dienst Noord-Rijn-Westphalia before we go to the refreshments.
Tim, first of all, I want to thank you for this beautiful moderation and organization today. And I also want to thank the team and the lead partner preparing this event. And so that should be a round of applause. And what I learned in the last 4 years, or 5 years nearly, of DGE-ROLLOUT is that it's quite a good idea to work, to cooperate on this level, on this EU level with partners from different countries to join forces and to join knowledge. Yeah? What I learned from today is that we are on a good way. In all partner countries, we get some funding, I think, to look for the white spots, to look for the resources. This is a good solution. What I also learned is that we have to do some work on other levels, because if you think you can make a heat transition just with air heat pumps and electricity, I think won't help. Yeah, we need to accelerate geothermal energy and to accelerate this heat transition, and therefore we have to look for resources in the subsurface, and therefore I think we should look at the white spots, yeah, in these areas, and we did that with DGE-ROLLOUT, and this helped a lot, and therefore, in my opinion, is we should still work as a network together and to address this topic at the right places, because in some regions it's already, this message is said that okay, without heat transition, this sustainable heat without geothermal is not possible in the future. And today I learned, okay, it's if the colleague from the EU Commission said, okay, we have problems with data from the partners, from the countries. This is the main problem. So we can't make any prediction. This is the main problem. Yeah, this is the hen and egg problem we are sticking in since a lot of time. Things are changing slowly, but we are really on a right track, and therefore I want to thank everybody who worked on this project and the audience here. So that's what I want to like to say, and really enjoyed this time working with all of you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Martin. That was just a little announcement that we do have a chance to maybe for 5 minutes, Estelle,
Yes.
look at one of these interactive websites
Yes.
that you magically can make appear on because this is one of the results we've been working on.
This is the EGDI webpage, and I was talking about this decision-making tool, so it will be pop up a bit larger in the future. And this is the 3 axes, so the economic, geological, technical, and regulatory framework. So the idea was we developed it with some colleagues that are operator and developing as an investor, so they know what are the main questions you should ask you as a project developer. And in function of the result of your answer, if it's a no, then you have action to take. And this action can be sometimes in the light green boxes, some report of DGE-ROLLOUT that we wrote. So it's a way to look at our deliverable. And sometimes you don't have a really answer, but you have also two important stuff you need. I would say there is a decision, the exploration toolbox report made by EPN. And next also stuff is this DGE-ROLLOUT web tool where you can find all the data we gather from the underground, but not only in this project. So this is the web tool. We call it in the application the easy to use end user application. So again, it's a web tool. It's a bit easier to show, but it's not working really well here. Of course. Maybe if I do this, yeah. So in this web tool, you can first look at the base layer. So what kind of base map you would like. You have, of course, as geologists, you have the geological map of Europe. You can, of course, look at it and download it. And then we enter more in the DGE-ROLLOUT results. So you have two kinds of data. You have the surface data that we call surface data. This is all about socioeconomic map and index and heat demand that we created in the project. So we recalculate all of that from the data of every partner. So, and it was really focused on also on geothermal energy. So I can show you, for example, on the surface data, you have the regional data for each region, and you have also, this is, for example, the regional data for the Walloon region. So this socioeconomic index, there is a report linked. So you can click here to have this report.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it will always automatically download PDFs whenever. So
this report will explain you what is about this socioeconomic index. It takes into account density of population, a lot of parameters that were used to calculate this socioeconomic index. So different from the, we harmonize it, but from the different region, there is different parameters behind.
So the socioeconomic says something about the likeliness of being able to develop it on the surface?
Yes, absolutely. But this is the idea behind, is to have how far we have this potential at the surface, what is the potential at the surface to develop geothermal energy. This is the composite index for North-West Europe. Then if we go down to the subsurface, we have different kind of results because we had different kind of geological context. So we have the 2D upper Rhine-Graben because we work a lot also on this area in our project. So here you can find all the top geological layers of the upper Rhine-Graben. You can find the heat in place, the wells, and the seismic lines available in that area. So I can show you, for example, the heat in place here. So the heat in place here is from the Niederrhoden, right? So we are really not good at that layer. There is a Beers tertiary, the Rottlingen. All the layers have their own heat in place. You have the seismic data of the area and so on, and the wells as well.
And can you say a bit more about what is heat in place?
Yeah, the heat in place is really the heat that you can extract theoretically from the underground. So it's not the full heat that is available in it. That doesn't mean it's not the heat that you can really extract from it. This is a theoretical heat from the underground. Yeah. So this is the first attempt to have a kind of geothermal potential. You can have much more attempt to assess that. So it was not really scheduled at the beginning of the project to go so far, but we found that having this top and snicket map of the dimension or in the upper Rhine-Graben were not enough. So we tried to focus on something more useful. So TNO made a really great job on that. It was our colleague from the Dutch Geological Survey that managed this part, and they achieved a nice work on this heat in place stuff. So concerning the dimension here, we have the top of the dimension in North-West Europe. So this map will be more defined and even much better in taking into account the very last development in the coming weeks. But that gives you a bit an idea of the top of this dimension map. Then we have again something different on the 3D upper Rhine-Graben. We are also building a 3D viewer where we'll have all the 3D data of the upper Rhine-Graben available in a different tool, in a different viewer. That will be also online, I think, very soon.
I'd like to again thank all the people of North Rhine-Westphalia, particularly the ones working in this building and the ones here, that we could be here today to have this session. And of course also the support of Interreg, who generously supported this project. Yeah, wherever you go from here, be safe and see you soon again.
Thanks.